I enjoy that. Does it zoom out? It's on the.
Alrighty, good evening all. We are now live.
Remind you. Okay. Hello, everybody. We'll start this regular meeting of the Gallup City Council. And we'll start off today with a roll call.
Counselor Garcia.
Here.
Counselor Yazzie.
Here.
Counselor Piano.
Here.
Counselor Molina.
Here.
Mayor DePauli.
Here. Please join me at pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, our first item is comments by the public on non-agenda items. And it looks like a lot of people are here probably to comment. But we want to make sure that we hold our comments limited to 2 minutes. And in regard to the National Guard, we don't have any plans or anything in place. The governor brought it up and presented it to us. But I do want to point out the National Guard has been in Gallup before in 2020. When we went through a COVID crisis and we had to pretty much lock down the city. So that we're not planning on locking down the city or anything, but anyway, that we have had the National Guard here before, but we don't know the specifics of any of it. Also, I'd like to recognize Shannon Pinto. Thank you for being here. Patty Lundstrom also. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? Francis. Okay. With that, let's go ahead. I'm to the, if you would like, public comment.
Limit it to 2 minutes. Limit the time.
Yeah, we'll be limited to 2 minutes on the comment. So
No public comment.
to present, go ahead and give us your name and where you're from and.
Good evening, everybody and community members. My name is Janice Peterson. I'm a community member from McKinley County for years. Anyways, the reason why I'm here today is my son-in-law got his car stolen a few months ago. And we found the car at Walmart. And I don't know how a police officer are working as serving protection because they let us slide with the guy with this temporary license with the city department. So how in the world are we getting people caught criminal if they're writing out this temporary thing and the officers are not doing anything about it? That's my question. I think those officers needs to be more thorough of investigation of what's going on with the community. This one, they walked away. They just slapped by the hand and they took off. So if people are stealing vehicles out there and they're writing these handmade temporary license. I mean, if you drive down the road and we have expired license, you get pulled over for that. But why did they let him slide with this number? And the officer was there. I even mentioned to him, I said, hey, look, how come you guys didn't do investigation? That's my concern with the community. They need to do more than what they're out there for. And I see a lot of people getting stranded on the side of the road. The officer just drives by. So where is that safety for that community if something happens behind the wheel? So they need to really look into these things. And that's my concern as a community members, but thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Liu. I am an OBGYN locally. I bring to you a letter that is signed by 32 medical professionals, physicians, nurse practitioners, behavioral health professionals. We do want to state that we do, in terms of safety, we do not think that it's calling in the National Guard is going to be a solution. But we do want to come here because we do think that there are some very concrete things that are specific, sustainable, and actionable that can be implemented right now to reduce recidivism, homelessness, and the prevalence of alcohol and drug use in our community, which I think is our common goal. So the first thing is that we do think that housing needs to be connected to medical, behavioral health, and social supports. We would ask that you ask the governor to give immediate support to build supportive permanent housing and rehabilitate existing structures. We did this during COVID quickly and effectively with the Army Corps of Engineers. They mobilized to build patient care structures. And we think that that can be something that could be a mechanism that could build sturdy housing right now to meet the needs of our unsheltered relatives. We want to see that we know that connecting those folks to medical, behavioral health, and social supports reduces admissions for cold exposure this past winter, has reduced risk for exposure to infection, and placed many community members on a path towards stability through the COVID hotels, and most recently at the Howard Johnson. We also ask that you provide support to our jails and for medical providers to provide medication-assisted treatment for substance use in our jails. It reduces recidivism and it also saves lives. Local providers stand ready now to provide medical care and to continue treatment when people are released from detention. We have many medical providers in town at GIMC, at Gallup Community Health, and Four Corners Detox who can provide that work. And then lastly, and I know this is a specific interest of yours, Mayor, we ask to provide support for targeted programs for our youth, especially community violence intervention youth programs. We have so many great local programs that provide safe spaces and safe support for youth to build skills and learn problem solving. Boys and Girls Club, Children's Museum, Youth Conservation Corps, the library. And we ask that you urge the governor to support these programs to increase their reach and programming, and because these are proven ways to reduce violence, alcohol, and drug use. And then last, we just ask for communication. We have a lot of really great medical providers in town who have experience in addressing these issues, and we ask that you include us in your decision making. Anyway, thank you. Mhm. Thanks, Connie.
Hi, my name's Janina Shelton. I'm one of the registered nurses at Gallup India Medical Center. I'd like to ask a question first. What is it that the council or the governor, since he's proposed the National Guard come here? And I understand that I was here in COVID also, the entire time in the emergency room and WIPSI, which is the urgent care. But what is it that this time the governor is proposing the benefit of the millions of dollars that will be spent on the National Guard to be here? What is he exactly expecting to do, and how to support all the things that Dr. Liu and the rest of everybody in Gallup is hoping for? No one has an idea what the governor
This
wants?
is public comment, discussion and stuff, because it's not an agenda item. But if we could talk about it in the future, I'll give you my card and be happy to
Okay.
talk more about it.
That's wonderful. So what I've experienced, having been a world traveler, is that having guards walking beaches, walking down streets is actually kind of terrorizing to the average citizen. And there's a lot of targeting that happens. I don't always dress in my work clothes. I would dress in just really casual sort of things. I call them my dog walking clothes or my gardening clothes, and I go shopping in those. So, and it would just really terrify me to have someone stopping me and asking me for papers, which is what they ask for in Europe. And when I was in Cuba, they had armed guards patrolling around the different hotels, patrolling down the beach. And because we were swimming in the water and our beach, our clothes and things were in a pile together, they actually waved us in and told us that someone had to stay on the beach to look out at our stuff, that we couldn't just leave our stuff unattended. So those kind of things, it's just very intimidating. And it does not allow for the peace, which is one of the reasons why I moved to Gallup. I thought it was a very nice and peaceful city. And that's something that I truly treasure from here. So I'm hoping that you will think very long and hard about what the governor expects to achieve, because rounding people up and sending them, what are they going to do? Sit on them, forcibly make them go to rehab? Otherwise, what is the point of it? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, we do have one call in for public comment.
Okay.
Name and.
Please leave your message for.
Oh, no.
Okay, I don't have the caller online, so the caller was Irina Gay. We're not able to get through to her, so.
Anyone else? Mike Bailey?
Good evening. I'm Michael Bailey. I live on Windsor Drive. And first, I want to thank you all for serving. I've never taken the office. It was years back when it was offered to me, but I was busy working. And I'm too old and slow at this point. With regard to having the National Guard come in and assist the police, having the National Guard come in and assist the police, I think you're looking at the wrong problem. I'm a member of AA. I had 20 years of drinking. I got a lot more now, not drinking. But I sponsored a number of people. And when I was in Farmington, I sponsored this guy. And when we went to court, they charged him with a 6 DWI. He leaned over and he says, it's my 12th. They don't know about the rest. Twice he went to Los Lunas for a year and a half or 2 years, came out, went back in. Just as I was moving to Gallup, he ran his car into a telephone pole with a fifth of vodka. We have an alcohol problem. And we just let him in and out. Shannon Pinto, the senator here, she had a bill for health care proposal, but it didn't pass. If we want to solve this, I don't think we need the National Guard to solve the little problem. We need to deal with the treatment. And if the treatment doesn't work, put the people in jail and leave them there. There's no reason they need to come out and threaten me and my wife and your wife. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to our presentation items. And the first one is going to be the legislative update. And our state representative, one of them, Patty Lundstrom, District 9. Is that right? Will provide an update on the 30-day session of the New Mexico legislature.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Here tonight to give you a little update. This will be the 25th year that I've stood in front of Mayor and Council to give you an update.
Wow.
I do that every year after every legislative session, both the city and the county, and just to let you know how things went this last session. Well, the 30-day session is generally a budget session, or what the governor puts on the call. And this year, of course, because it's the governor's basically her last year in office, there was a whole bunch of bills that had come through and that we all had to deal with. And there were two in particular that I was particularly happy with. And one of them was House Bill 99, which is the medical malpractice bill. I was a signer on that bill, and basically what that does is it creates a cap on punitive damages regarding suing of doctors and hospitals. And it also provides for higher standards of proof. It protects independent providers as well as hospitals. And in particular, there was a focus on small hospitals. We're one of them. There's 5 small hospitals that were identified in that bill where the cap would be at 6 million, and then larger hospitals that would be at 15 million with a CPI. I have heard my community loud and clear when it comes to medical malpractice issues. I also have a copy of a survey that was done. This was done on February 13th. And what it basically says is New Mexico overwhelmingly supports medical malpractice reform. What they did is they surveyed 500 likely voters, and it showed massive support for medical malpractice reform. And it was identified in our tax committee during the interim from a group of doctors that had been working on this also, is that they felt that that was the #1 reason for the doctor shortage crisis that we have in our state and the doctors leaving our state. So basically, voters recognize the problem, and an astounding 96% of New Mexico voters believe New Mexico faces a shortage of doctors. Among these voters, 98% described the doctor shortage as a serious problem. And I know we've seen that. And what I was able to do, and we talked about it in my chamber, you all might remember when Dr. Andrade had the full page ad in the Gallup Independent. And we lost both he and his wife as practitioners out of our community, and the number of patients that equated to. I think he had ran that ad, I want to say like at least 4 weeks in a row. And I had each one of those newspapers and I showed that to the group. And I said, can you imagine what it's going to be now to try to replace these medical providers in a town like Gallup, a small community? Would be almost impossible. So I'm really happy about that bill getting through. The sponsor actually worked on that bill for over a year. And what she told us is that she had surveyed the surrounding states and found that we were the only state that had no cap. So that meant that we were not competitive with recruiting, doctors. We just don't have a competitive advantage when it comes to that. Second bill that was super important to me and one that I was a primary sponsor on was Senate Bill 2. It was carried by Senator Bobby Gonzalez, George Munoz, Senator Munoz. There were several others, but I was one of the House sponsors. And what that does, it creates a bonding capacity for roadways. I have the list of projects that are associated with that. And what was important to me in this bill is that of the 19 projects that were identified, 6 of them are in McKinley County. And the important part of it is I've been working on this for a long time, is looking at a 3rd lane on I-40 going east and west. We've all been stuck on 40 on our way to Albuquerque. I know it was about a year and a half ago, one of your former colleagues told me that he'd been stuck there 11 hours. Yeah, that's terrible. It's terrible to have that kind of delay. And I think we've all experienced it. I haven't at that level, but certainly a couple of hours. So what we're looking at with the work here in McKinley County is what we call the pullouts, like you'd see at Jamestown where the refinery is. You've got those 3 lanes there. So there's choke points throughout I-40 where we want to try to clear that up and not have the backup problem that we've had in the past. The other thing I wanted to share with all of you is that each year we get capital outlay. And this year, the House received $2.5 million. I have the list of the projects that I supported, and I'll give them to Alfred and he can pass them out here to everybody. I don't want to lose all my papers here. I probably got more paper than I need. Every legislator gets capital outlay that they can spend, and this is all on the legislative portal, and I'm sure at some point Brandon from the COG will pull down exactly how much the city of Gallup received from each House member and each Senate member. And what I have in there for you guys is it goes down to the Allison Road corridor utility relocation for $500,000. That is the money that you all need to be able to get your 52 million from the feds. I know that there's concerns about where that actual access point is. I think there's still time to replan all of that, but you still needed to move utilities. So that's what that money is for. You can see this is basically my district. There's money for Red Lake chapter, Yattahay Water and Sanitation District, Red Rock chapter, Rock Springs chapter. McKinley County is for heavy equipment purchases, Gamerico, Mexican Springs, the 2 for Gallup. One was the industrial workforce building construction. And then the others are all basically chapters except for the very last one. And that actually ties to the Escalante Authority. That was a bill that I carried, I believe we got that through in 2020, setting up an authority for redevelopment at the Pruitt Industrial Park. That is a authority that has up to a 20-mile radius for industrial development. This particular park is within that radius. And when we're looking at job creation and reuse of a coal-fired power plants for different purposes, you need to have feeders into it. So that's what this is about. So this is a copy of the capital outlay that I supported. The governor hasn't signed that bill to my knowledge yet. But because I serve on the tax committee now, we work on this bill. We work on the capital outlay. We work on the GO bond issue, which primarily pays for higher ed, pays for public libraries, senior citizen centers, things like that, usually go into the GO bond bill, which the voters, of course, vote on for paying these projects. But I thought it was an interesting session. There was a lot of legislation that was floating around, a lot of committee activity. The governor, of course, gave her State of the State address, and I just felt that it was a very productive session, better than some that I've seen in the past. And I think it's probably because of our medical malpractice bill and then our bonding bill, some things that I really care about actually got through this session. So I'm just here tonight to give you a general overview of what happened. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I do apologize, I missed your Gallup Gala. I was way under the weather that evening and I had to make the choice. Do I go and go to the gala, or do I need to have it together for my roundtable the next morning? And I want to thank all of you that attended the roundtable. It was a good showing. We had over 60 people there, and it was all about financing for economic development related projects. We had a good turnout for that, and there'll be lots of availability and follow through when it comes to trade court stuff regarding our roundtable. But and great pins. I need to say that also. I was real proud of those pins. I know that the cost of silver has gone skyrocketing. I understood it's like almost $100 an ounce now or something, is way up there. But those pins are coveted by everyone. So thank you, Frank, for getting me some extras. I needed those for the staff people that really helped me, because what helps me helps you. So anything, and thank you, Linda, for bringing the seniors.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of fun with all the seniors. I see Larry and some other folks that were there. When Linda brought them up, we had a good time in my office and took pictures and everything. And my office is a fairly small office, but I think we crowded everybody in there. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have tonight.
That, no questions, but just thank you, Patty, for all the work you've done over the last 25 years.
Yes.
You know. We don't expect you to stick around another 25 years. But anyway, anybody else have any questions for Patty? Please.
I have a question. Oh,
Rick.
I'd just like to thank you for helping with that House Bill 99. That was an important part to me. I'm getting old. I need lots of doctors around for me. And but that was one of the high points of the legislative session for me.
Yeah, I think we actually did something right. We can be proud of,
Thank you for that.
of course.
Mayor, I have a question. Representative Letcher, thank you so much for being here and giving us an update. I think it is important that our senators and representatives come every time to give us updates. I really appreciate that. I was just curious on the bill for medical malpractice. I think that's a huge win for us. I'm hoping that it's not too little too late, because we have lost so many doctors already, like Andrade's. I know they were kind of posting jokingly, like, I've been watching, maybe we'll move back now. But I'm curious, is there anything in that bill addressing the cap in terms of, like, say, I don't know enough about medical, but for like a surgeon as opposed to a family doctor? Because one of the things I see is I would think there would be way more liability for someone to, say, sue a surgeon as opposed to a family practice doctor that's not even doing any surgeries or things like that. Is it just the same cap across the board, or was there talk about maybe those differences for types of medical?
You know, there isn't actually. What it's based on is that there's a level for independent doctors.
Okay.
Independent doctors, and then those that are tied directly to a hospital. In other words, that their employer is the hospital. It's
Okay.
the hospital that has that responsibility.
Okay.
So no, there isn't, but I agree with you, Counselor. It's going to take a while for New Mexico to work on that medical structure again. I think we're way behind the power curve. We've taken the right step, but it's going to take some time, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you so much. And then on Senate Bill 2, I think that's great. Just because I'm not as familiar, does this bonding capacity allow for road maintenance, or is this more for road diets? Because I think the ongoing struggle that we see is that we're not seeing enough money for road maintenance, which is the complaints on potholes and just road fixing roads. We're getting it for road diets or new roads, but then there's still no money for road maintenance, which is a continual struggle for the city because so many people, not only from the city, but the county, the reservation are using the roads, which is great because those people are coming to work in our communities. But that's triple the size of people that are using our roads with no money for road maintenance. So I'm just curious as to how that works.
It's really for the big projects. It's
Okay.
for those hundreds of $1 million type projects.
Okay.
Because it's 1.5 billion that the initial bond is for, but it's for the big interstate or connector type projects.
Oh, okay, so much larger projects.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes more sense. And then I know this isn't part of that bill, but you kind of mentioned it and maybe I misunderstood, but is there still talks about having 3 lanes potentially? We talked about this on, I was actually just coming back from Santa Fe today and I-40 is not getting better. I think it's getting worse. I was driving and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like this. And I drive it a lot for my day job as well as for city council. And it is quite cumbersome. And so I'm just wondering, that was a talk at one point to have 3 lanes. And I don't know if that's still in
It's
conversation.
certainly something, Mayor and Counselor, that I want to see happen. But until the funding is put together, it will be these pull-out lanes where you find these choke areas
Okay.
like we had around Jamestown at one time.
Yeah.
And it's like that all the way from the state line to Albuquerque. So they'll go through and find and identify those locations, and that's what those projects are identified for.
Okay. My hope is still that we have 3 lanes at some point, but
Absolutely.
that's a I feel like the pull-out lanes is like a temporary fix until we could potentially get 3
No, I
lanes.
agree with you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, Patty.
Oh, that's it. That's Brandon Howard, it's
Oh, Brandon? You're not on the agenda, but come on up.
Well, it's legislative update.
Legislative update, okay.
He spent many minutes in Patty's office also.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Brandon Halp, Deputy Director at the Northwest New Mexico Council of Governments. What I have handed out to Al is a funding recap from the legislative session. Again, Representative Lundstrom and Senator Pinto are here today. Appreciate them supporting the city of Gallup. As Representative Lundstrom mentioned, the sponsored charts are not posted yet. But this is kind of what is in Senate Bill 240 as of now. And they're kind of listed in the order that we submitted our capital outlay request for the city of Gallup. Again, the Council of Governments kind of meets with the manager and the staff to identify projects to put forward for capital outlay. We actually do the submission process and do the follow-up as it's making its way through the legislature. Just to go down the list, we have 500,000 for the wastewater treatment plant improvements project. Downtown utilities replacement was not funded. Road improvements was not funded. Affordable and workforce housing development was funded at 200,000. Airport terminal construction was not funded. New municipal complex was not funded. Regional library acquisition was funded at 100,000. As Representative Lundstrom mentioned, Allison Corridor Utility Relocation Design was funded at 500,000. And the two at the bottom there, the Cole Avenue Alleys Improvements Project was a project that COG worked on with Keegan to submit. Again, just continuing to go through the phasing strategy of that Cole Avenue Alleys project. Now we'll move into the Route 66 alleyway project now that we got this thing fully funded. The last is a recreational project that was funded at $1 million. looking at doing improvements to sports facilities in Gallup. So appreciate that. Again, Senator Pinto was here. She helped fund the wastewater treatment plant improvement project. So big thanks for Senator Pinto. The two other items on there, again, nonprofits in recent years have been increasing their requests to legislators for funding. Capital Outlay is one of the funding sources that is available to those nonprofits. And the city has stepped up and has agreed to serve as fiscal agent for some nonprofits. The Southwest Indian Foundation Industrial Workforce Program received 100,000 from Representative Lundstrom for building improvements at their workforce training center. Battered Families Domestic Violence Shelter received funding for shelter renovation at 500,000. And then the very bottom, House Bill 2 is the state's budget. The city was able to secure $3 million for the senior center to make that thing whole. So that is much appreciated. And one thing that isn't on that list is a project that was put forward by McKinley County, but was services the city of Gallup, which is $5 million for the Red Rock Park out of House Bill 2 as well. So McKinley County as a whole, the two local governments fared pretty well this legislative session. The Council of Governments will also produce a more comprehensive report that goes through House Bill 2. Looks at all the special programs that are being set up, programs that are being funded again, and we'll work with staff to identify targets for applications for this next fiscal year. So I can stand for any questions.
Any questions for you?
A quick question, Mayor. Brandon, refresh my memory. I mean, when is the governor planning to sign off on this? And we don't feel like there's a chance that she's going to veto any of these projects, correct?
Not at the moment, no, but I think we have about the second or third week of March for her to sign off on the bills.
Okay.
Yep. And at that point, I'll tweak this list if needed, hopefully not. But we'll again go through and add all of the special programs for House Bill 2 and target city priorities for those funds.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
And
Senator Pinto.
and Shannon, did you want to say anything, or we'll just thank you for?
Senator Pinto.
No questions. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah, thank you for the wastewater funding.
I just want to acknowledge Senator Pinto also visiting with the seniors on Senior Day. They loved it, and thank you for your hospitality and for the gifts that you showered upon us. Thank you so very much.
So nice.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, and this is the housing information presentation. Keegan McKenzie Chavez and Tammy Parker are going to give a presentation.
Good evening, Keegan McKenzie Chavez, City Project Manager. I just wanted to kind of introduce Tammy Parker. She's going under a new title, but Housing Manager. And I just want to explain the goal of these presentations. So I want to have them every month. And Tammy's developing her foundational knowledge on current housing practices that are being utilized throughout communities. And so we wanted to take the opportunity as she's, doing her research that she can share with you and kind of develop your knowledge about what's going on throughout the different states around housing. And I also want to remind you that this is not a comment or review about what our planning and zoning or what our land development standards are. This is strictly kind of researching what's happening throughout the country and to, begin a conversation about where we want to go for housing strategies. So this isn't any kind of comparing or, we don't have this here. We haven't even kind of gone to that phase. This is just looking at current practices that are happening throughout the states and that I think are important for you all to know about and to build Tammy's skill set.
And just to make sure, when you say, you mean nationwide?
Nationwide, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
not just the state. You
Yeah.
said states, but I want to make sure.
I'm sorry, nationwide. Yes. Tammy Parker.
Thank you, Keegan. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today, we're going to be discussing housing, not as a crisis to be managed, but as an opportunity for our town's future. Last month, I talked about strong towns and what they do, because they're one of my favorites, personal favorites. But I wanted to go over some other groups and what they're doing as far as nationwide, the things that are working. And I try to choose the things that are a little more focused to what might be applicable here. But again, as Keegan said, it's just, this is what's going on across the country. Click. Hopefully. Well, I'm trying to go quickly because I know y'all have a really long agenda, so I wanted to keep this short. So I'll just cover it and I can send you the slides. There we go. Okay. First group that I'm going to talk about is YIMBY Action. YIMBY is yes in my backyard as opposed to not in my backyard. They have started some of the most expensive markets in the country by developing pre-approved plans that stylistically fit neighborhoods and aesthetics. Next. The Turner Center is our technical expert. They are based out of Berkeley. They focus on the how of building. Construction costs are a hurdle for everyone, and they really focus on how modular housing can be of assistance to bring those costs down. They also provide data on specifically on modular housing and how to do that in a way that is more cost effective. Next, Up for Growth. Up for Growth is where fiscal responsibility meets housing policy. Founded to address the nationwide shortage of 3.8 million homes across the country, they help towns like ours using infrastructure as a guide. They show us how to build where the pipes and the roads are already existent. That actually helps keep our city budget in check and helps with the high cost of infrastructure expansion. And this is really the infill development that Keegan and I talk about constantly. And finally, we have the National Low Income Housing Coalition. They bring over 50 years of experience to the table. This is the oldest of all the groups. They remind us that market can't always house the people who keep our town running, our baristas, health aides, retail workers, and they provide the roadmap for federal tax credits and preservation grants so that we have the tools we need to keep our workforce housed here in town as opposed to having to drive in for an hour. Gallup Housing Authority really addresses some of these needs with their programs. So the summary is that YIMBY group, they really address the missing middle housing and the myth that new housing ruins character by adopting preset, pre-approved plans that make it really easy for people to move forward with building. Next group was Up for Growth, and they focus on infill strategy. The common myth that they look at is that infrastructure can't handle more growth. They do this by suggesting that building where the pipes and the roads already exist is the best way to keep those costs down and not have to try and expand how much we're spending on expensive infrastructure. Turner Center, they focus on the modular technology, that construction is too expensive is what they're trying to address. And they use modular housing as the answer to that because it can be produced in a factory much more cheaply and of a much higher quality than you would get if you were just building on site. And finally, the NLIHC, the National Low Income Housing Coalition, emphasizes workforce equity and affordability, but they address the notion that affordability lowers value. And you see this all over the place. We've seen it in Albuquerque. If you build something that's affordable, it's going to cause all of our houses to drop in value. This isn't really the case. That's not how it needs to work. And they partner with professional projects, trying to bring together all the different entities that do the parts that sometimes get hung up and cause problems because different entities aren't talking to one another. So that's their main emphasis. I can give you more information on any of these groups. I'd be happy to email you anything you'd like to see. And I will let you give me the last slide just in case people want to get a hold of me. You can almost read that. Sorry. Well, council, mayor, y'all know how to get a hold of me, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think we have some questions. Yes, questions.
I always have questions. Thanks for this information, Tammy. I'm just kind of curious on how we're using this more locally instead of globally. I mean, the information is really great, but are we reaching out to these coalitions to see if they're going to come and potentially partner with us or do presentations to our communities? I mean, information is always good, but I think information is not helpful if we're not utilizing it. So I'm just curious to see if you're reaching out to some of these people, if we're directly working with any of these coalitions. Do they have funding opportunities?
I have not yet spoken with any of these 4 organizations. We are working on putting together a housing master plan because we have a lot of different pieces that are all over the place. So we'd like to have one thing that guides our town. I have talked to some of the folks at Strong Towns about some of the, like their housing toolkit, some of those kind of things. But I haven't wanted to reach out to these folks until we really know where we're going, what our focus is, how we want to address that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Sparkle, you know, I really think what you guys are doing, this is important. You know, having worked on the land development standards for the last 20 years and realized not how restrictive they are, but what they require. We've never had a component for this type of housing. And hopefully we can take all the input what you're learning and like the expensive infrastructure and using the existing properties we have and redo land development standards for this type of housing so we can build affordable housing. Yeah.
We've done some good stuff with our land development standards recently. I think that it's with this, I'm just trying to give you guys a base of understanding so that you kind of know what you're working with too. It doesn't help if I'm the only person who knows what's going on.
Right.
That is
And we
not
need to get
clear.
contractors involved and just.
Absolutely.
People that are getting people involved and make them feel comfortable that they can build here and they don't have to jump through a lot of hoops. So,
Well, and that's it. We're talking to folks that have been through the hoops and, you know, getting their comments, what they think, what might be helpful, what isn't, that kind of thing. So
thank
working on
you.
that.
Appreciate the work you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda, so the city council then designate by unanimous consent those routine items they wish to be approved or acknowledged by one motion. If any item does not meet the approval of all council members, or if the citizen so requests, it will be heard as a separate item. There's 2 items on the consent agenda. One is approval of minutes, but the second was the confirmation of the sports commission members. And I wanted, just give a little bit of explanation and clarity. Is that okay?
You have to pull it off.
Just
pull it off the agenda.
And then read it, pull it off the agenda.
Yeah, just pull it off the agenda.
Discuss it for the consent agenda. Is that okay? Yes, with that, can we proceed with the single item left? As
A motion to approval of minutes under consent agenda, item number 1.
Counselor Piano,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor DePauli.
yes.
So now we're at your.
Thank you. So the Sports Commission has been around since 1992. It's a very important commission. It provided sports fields and opportunities for the youth of Gallup. Since it originally, when it started, the Sports Commission there was baseball and softball and not anymore other sports. Since then, it's moved into basketball. We have Gallup Youth Basketball. It's the soccer. We have Gallup Youth Soccer. We have TDFL. And we have other sports that we're trying to get. Of course, we also could coordinate with the schools. Now we have 9 high schools in Gallup, plus multiple mid schools. So the Sports Commission it's the same bylaws and charter that's been in place since 1992. And it was put together, you know, in order to help to provide fields and opportunities for youth of Gallup so they don't get in trouble. There are a few items in the charter that need to be addressed, that to bring it up to date, essentially that it to recognize other sports, to clearly define the commissioners that are come from these sports. Since in 2019, actually in 2015, I've been on the sports commission since 2009, and I was the chairman since 2000. After I was president of the soccer league, I moved into the sports commission, and then from there I moved into the chairman. But what we did then is we moved from single people to representatives from leagues and teams as members, as commission members, and that included someone from TDFL. And that's, if you look at the agenda, you'll see the names of the people that are put on the board. Now, the board says that they can serve 2-year terms. The other explanation I want to make sure is through COVID, as everybody knows, things didn't get done right, or were put behind or put on the back burner. So this is going to be the first reinstatement of the sports commission members since 2019. Yeah, so what I'd like to do, we're gonna proceed with the nominating these members so we can shore up and make sure the sports commission is good and active. Because baseball, Little League is starting within a month, or it starts mid-April. And with that, I'd like it to turn it over to our city attorney to just make sure it's just so he can add a few comments.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt. There are basically two problems here. The first problem is that everybody currently on the commission is serving in a holdover term. The terms expired some time ago. They were never reappointed. And so they're basically holdovers in office. The agenda item indicates that only 2 additional people will be added to the commission, not that the current members will be reappointed. So I think there is a question as to whether you can do that in this meeting. But there is probably sufficient latitude there to reappoint all currently serving members. They would be reappointed for a single term of 2 years, not staggered. So there would be a 2-year period in which they would all work, and then there would have to be reappointment. There might be vacancies that occur in the meantime. That points to the need to sort of spruce up the resolution and charter that established the commission. The other basic problem has been that the commission's charter declares it a public body and requires that the commission comply with the Open Meetings Act. That requirement until recently has not been consistently observed. So it's necessary, I think it's appropriate to emphasize that requirement in the context of this activity. My suggestion would be that the current members' appointments be confirmed and the new members, if the council approves, be added. But also the direction be given to revise and update the underlying resolution and charter to clarify some matters. For example, the charter's provision concerning terms contains blanks. The numbers were never filled in. So that kind of stuff needs to be addressed and taken care of just as a matter of administrative housekeeping.
Any comments or questions?
Can we even vote on this, or do we need to table this to the next meeting until the charter gets updated?
That's gonna take a while to take the charter.
Oh, it
Well,
is?
That's an option. I don't think you have to do that. I think that you can, you've got 2 options before you right now. First would be simply to add the nominee members. That would be most consistent with the statement as an agenda item and would not go beyond the 4 corners, so to speak, of the item. The second option would be to add to that appointment a reappointment of all currently serving members. In my opinion, that would be, albeit slightly irregular, permitted in the context of this particular agenda item.
Yeah, I would just like to not just nominate these particular people that are listed and go on and move on.
And just a clarification, it says that we're adding 2 people, but my understanding is that Chris Fuller is already on the
Yes.
list. So we really are only adding 1 person. So we should also identify that change. Because it says we're adding 2.
So, yeah, there's actually not an addition, it's a replacement. Johnny Griego is replacing Gloria Sacedo. And that's one of the things we're gonna fix in our bylaws is that we're gonna make sure that the members that are labeled are listed under the actual team. That's like TDFL would be or Bobo Sacedo. So yeah, there are, like I said, 2019 things have changed, so.
So for the purpose of this meeting, Mayor, who are we adding?
The only addition is I'm coming off and I will be replaced by Greg Kirk. Gallup Soccer League is going to be Tyler Whitehead. Vince is always on there, but they're gonna be taking off Denise Para. The rest of them stay. This Martine that was Derek Chavis. Now I'm going back to 2019. So I think what we want to do is just pretty much start over because we've had such a long time between the appointments. And just start over with this new list of people.
So for the purpose of this meeting, are we adding all of these people back or just certain ones? Because I feel like we're getting conflicting things of what the attorney just said and what you said.
These here, the only ones. So going back to 2019 makes it difficult. So these are gonna be the new members and some will be reinstated and some will be new members. It's, again, if it was done correctly and it was done in the last 7 years. I think can we just recommend this is to be a new reinstated board? I mean, or these would be the members of the board from 2026.
Mayor and council, the agenda item is confirmation. Board's commission members. And the only confusion apparently is who's being added, and who's already there. To me, that confusion is immaterial at this point. I think the motion to confirm all of the listed people as members, understanding that they serve a 2-year term would be appropriate if that's what the council wishes to do.
Thank you, Dave, for the clarification.
So, Mr. Mayor, my question was if the sports commission has been meeting since 2019.
The actual sports commission is since 1992.
Yeah, I mean, since you said it hadn't really been, we kind of stopped making the updates, but they've still been meeting.
Yes.
These last several years.
Either online for the first till about 2024, and then it went back to in-person meetings.
Okay, and can anybody here tonight confirm that all of the people on this list that we have are active members? And okay, we're not confirming anybody who has like dropped off or stopped engaging. Okay.
These are all at the last meeting.
They're all
confirmed they want to stay.
Okay.
We have a motion.
Great. Motion to confirm all members of the sports commission.
No second.
Counselor Piana,
Yes.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Yazdi.
Yeah.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor DePauli.
Yes. Thank you, Dave, for that. Let's go back.
That was clear as mud.
Let's get that updated as soon as possible.
Well, now we're up to it, so. The next discussion item is request for a budget adjustment for the water department in the amount of $814,650. The water department is requesting a budget adjustment of $814,650 to cover the cost of engineering and construction management for Reach 2712 and 2712 Cipriano water line extension of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. The speaker now is going to be Jan Boone, and he can go through the list. The original PO was just stated for design, and this is just a budget adjustment within the United States Bureau of Reclamation Cooperative Agreement. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, Council. I think you pretty much explained the whole thing. So it is a funding by BOR, and the city will pay out, but it's 100% reimbursable. So, it consists of a storage tank, water lines, 12, 10, and 8-inch water lines going towards South Forks, and 2 PRVs that'll tie into that area to provide better water pressure and on the Boardman area. So like I said, the projects are fully reimbursable. So it's pretty good offer.
Yeah, and let me just add a little bit more. So the next part, we're gonna have another item, discussion and action item coming up, and it's gonna be approval of the Water Trust Board WPF 6576, and that's gonna be for the construction. But one of the things that's most significant about these two projects is that the city has received its cost cap for the Navajo Valley project of 76 million.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, Dave worked hard on that, Frank worked hard on that. But you'll see that this money here is gonna be the 815,000 is gonna be paid for with that 76 million. And then when we get to the next project, the city should be able to get full credit for the $9,721,000. Right now, we have about 63.5 million for our cost cap. This will add another 10,000, it'll put us at about 73.5, getting closer and closer to the $76 million.
So I'm here to seek approval for this budget adjustment.
So if we could have a motion to approve.
I had one question, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay.
Yes.
I was just wanting to understand, though, as we are in essence fronting the money for the project to begin and then it'll be reimbursed later. Where exactly is it going to be moved from to go into the operational budget for them?
From this Bureau of Reclamations Cooperative Agreement, R11AC0002.
So we already have that?
Right,
$33 million.
yes.
Okay, understood, thank you.
And it'll be transferred into project number JU 1102.
Okay.
This one.
I'd like to make a motion if everybody's done. Make a motion for approval of request for a budget adjustment for the water department in the amount of $814,650.
Second.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia.
Yes.
Counselor Piano.
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
Mayor DePauli.
I'm gonna abstain from the voting. Is that, should I do that or can I vote? Doesn't really matter, does it?
You can abstain if you believe there's any conflict or other cause or you're abstaining from voting. I wouldn't know what that is, but
Yeah.
no, I believe there is. Go
I-
ahead and abstain.
There's no conflict. I don't have any ties at all to DePaul Engineering any longer. It's completely out of my hands, so yes, I vote yes.
Good. Do we have a reached decision?
Next item is.
Great, approved. You're free to go.
You're coming back. This is the next item is the wastewater department budget adjustment.
You skipped one.
Oh, sorry, gosh, number 3, Steve Wargo, sorry.
Number 2.
The budget adjustment into 2019 for the amount of $10,000 cover payroll costs for the remainder of the fiscal year for the senior center.
Good evening, council. Thank you for being here, or thank you for letting me present tonight. We are, yeah, well, yeah, you don't, anyway. We are asking for a budget adjustment for $10,000 for our payroll for budget line item 219 from the general fund. I'm not sure if you have this. Yeah, it was in the attachments. I'm not sure if you need it or not, but it was in the attachment there. About a month ago, it was brought to my attention that we are going to be about $10,000 short within being able to do our payroll for the rest of the fiscal year. The budget for senior center is divided into 3 different areas. So 3640 is basically our congregate meals. 3641 is for our home delivery of meals, and 3643 is our transportation. You can see at the bottom there, we are about $10,000 short, particularly in the city match portion. And so we are requesting $10,000 to be able to cover our budgetary needs for our payroll for the remainder of the year.
Any discussion items, comments, questions? From council?
I have a quick question. Steve, thanks so much for presenting. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but is it just, are we just falling short? We just didn't know. I know you kind of just started, so you might not be able to answer this question, but we just didn't know maybe that what the shortfalls would be. And then are we able to kind of anticipate this for next year's budget in terms of?
We should be able to. I didn't create this budget, so I'm not
Right.
blaming anybody, but it's just one of these situations that we are anticipating we aren't going to have this problem in the future.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Want to thank Counselor Garcia. You have been at the senior center at least 4 or 5 times within the last month. Thank you for attending with us. We went to the senior day a couple weeks ago as well. So we appreciate your support, and I've enjoyed getting to know you as well.
Thank you, sir.
So thank
And I
you.
just say I completely support the senior center, of course, and I understand that everything now has just gone up, so I just believe that with the cost of everything going up, that's why we had the shortfall. So, yes, so there is no questions or anything.
I forgot to tell you something funny. A lady in my church goes to the senior center and she came up to me and said, there's a new guy at the senior center. And I said, oh yeah, I said, is he the manager? She said, he's a bald guy and he's doing a great job and I really like him. And
I'm the bald guy.
I'm not saying that to be offensive. I just want you to know she really liked you. That's just what she said. I thought it was so cute and funny, but she just is such a nice lady. And she just said, that guy, I really like him. He's doing a good job with the senior center. She goes there all the time. So I just thought I'd pass that along to you.
It's a real pleasure being able to work with our seniors. One of the best parts of my day is during the congregate lunch from 11 to 1, just going out and getting to talk to them, getting just to know them, find out just things about them and things of that nature and what have you. And so that's the fun part of the job. The budget and what have you is things that I'm still navigating and learning and stuff, but I'm getting a lot more comfortable with it and things like that. We were out at the center today. I do have pictures if you want to look at some pictures here.
Oh, nice.
All right, you can pass those around. You can see where they're at as far as the construction of the new building goes. I've labeled those, okay, and you can just pass those around and I'll get those at the end of the meeting here. You can take a look at them. They are anticipating that we are going to be able to open late October, early November. The weather last week didn't put them behind or anything. They are almost finished getting the roof on. And we should be at the point once the electrical gets transferred, and we talked to Keegan about that earlier today in our meeting, that they'll be able to move the trailers out. We'll be able to start having meetings inside. So they are making good progress. And this is a good program. All right, one of the things that I will add, and I know it's not on the agenda, is that we're serving roughly 265 meals a day out there. And that's home deliveries and congregate meals and what have you. And food costs are going up and what have you, but this is a vital program for our city. And we appreciate all the support you can give. So thank you for letting me present today.
Thanks.
Yes, before I make my motion, I also want to say that talking to all the seniors, they love Boss Steve. They all call him Boss Steve. And that you go and yet you just speak to them, talk to them, acknowledge them. They love that. So, and he works in the kitchen, he goes on the bus rides, he just does everything with the seniors and I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I want to make a motion to approve the budget adjustment into
219.
into 219, the amount of $10,000 to cover payroll costs for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Second.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Piano.
Yes.
Counselor Molina.
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
Mayor DePaul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the wastewater department.
Chief has his own fan club.
Wastewater department budget adjustment. Robert. Gotcha.
Looks like
Close.
red.
Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor. The wastewater department is requesting a budget adjustment and a change in payroll. We have an employee that is transferred from to the wastewater department from the water department. Wastewater department is requesting a budget adjustment in the amount of $40,589 from account 508-6062-443-45.40 into 508-6062-443-41.20 account to cover the pay.
With that, any questions from council?
I was just gonna make a comment that that's great that you're getting another employee.
It is
Thank-
very helpful.
Yeah, super helpful to the wastewater department. So
Okay,
Put them to work.
motion,
Motion to approve the wastewater department budget adjustment.
Second.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Piano.
yes.
Mayor DePauli.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Item number 4 is approval of the GUP 2604, New Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation Grant Agreement to complete the airport master plan.
Can we interject real quick?
Yeah.
It's his birthday.
I don't want to count them no more.
We should sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Robert. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Didn't expect that, did you?
29 and
20
Strong.
29 was.
fully
shooting.
white-headed. So good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the birthday wishes from Mayor and Council and all the members in the audience. Mayor and Council, I bring before you the request for approval of a grant agreement from the Department of Aviation. It's a grant agreement to complete the master plan at the airport. Originally, I brought this project to City Council in June of 2023 to accept the funding under Resolution R 2023-14 to award the contract to Armstrong Consultants for Task Order A, Airport Master Plan. Unfortunately, the NMDOT aviation funds expired before the master plan was complete. Instead of them giving us an extension to the grant, they said, let's go ahead and pull that back. We'll issue another grant. We'll get the project completed. So basically, that's what I'm coming before y'all to just accept the new grant in the amount of $56,034. And we are asking that to be set in Fund 308.
Wish all of our grant funders did that for us.
Pardon?
I wish all of our grant funders did that for us.
Oh, I know. Yes,
Great.
usually they fall back money and we don't get no more. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Robert. Any questions?
And just to clarify, that 56,034 will cover the completion of the master plan.
It will. We still actually have funds left over from the FAA. And then our match, which wasn't very much, our match was like, I believe, 5% of the project, $3,856. But yes, we will have enough funds. The FAA grant does not expire until I believe 2027. So we have plenty of time, but I'm hoping this project will be complete by July 2026.
Okay.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Motion,
Motion to approve GOP 2604 New Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation Grant Agreement to complete the airport master plan.
Second.
Counselor Piano,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Molina.
Yes.
Mayor DePauli.
yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Yes. Thank you. Robert Hammond.
Thanks, old man.
29 years.
I'm out of here.
Our next item is number 5. It's something I brought up earlier with Jen, just discussing the construction management. This is approval of resolution number 2026-11. Water Trust Board, and that's New Mexico Finance Authority Water Trust Board Project WPF 6576 grant agreement and the necessary budget adjustments to accompany it. And our speaker today is Jackie Leva.
Yes, I did put in that to approve the grant agreement and necessary budget adjustments, but I kind of spoke a little too soon on that one. We are still awaiting some documents for approval and the closing for that is set for April 10th. So what I'm requesting approval of right now is resolution number 2026-11 for this Water Trust Board project number WPF 6576. This project will consist of constructing the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project Reach 2712 water lines two 2 million-gallon storage tanks, and 2 pressure-reducing valve stations. And it'll include other related work and revisions necessary to complete this project.
Let me just make sure, so the way that it's a single 2 million gallon water storage tank. There's not two of them. It's just the way that they
right.
just put
That's
together,
what-
slap together there. So just. make
Just
sure.
wanted,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Thank you. Any questions? For Jackie? We already explained that this is $10 million toward our 76 million.
Where's the project taking place?
I'll go ahead and explain it. That's okay.
It's Reach 2712. I'm not quite sure where that's
So
located.
It's gonna take off at the end of 2710 and run south along 602. And then turn and follow Catalpa Road and go up to a topographic high point where a tank will be installed. And then it's gonna tie in at Boardman and at South Park or South Fork.
Okay.
And this will be the last project of the Navajo Gallup water supply, distribution, transmission, distribution and tank site. And it will help the pressure in the South Fork area, that area, water deliveries.
Good. Very good.
Okay, if we could have a motion.
And the motion we're making tonight is just, it's
The
just
approval of the
to
resolution.
approve the resolution. without
Yes.
Without any. Motion to approve resolution R 2026-11 Water Trust Board Project number WPF 6576 grant agreement.
Nice second.
Counselor Yasi,
Yes.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Piano,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia.
Yes.
Eric Bradley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is labeled Best of the Best. And today's the speaker is gonna be City Manager Frank Gepetti.
Thank you, Mayor. It's getting that time of year. Mr. Eddie's jumping at the bit to start advertising. So we're seeking direction. It's the last year of the RFP for Mr. Eddie to be the manager of the Best event. We're still closing out last year's. He's given us all the documents. We're finalizing that and getting with him. This event does cost the city a bit of money to host. It looks like last year we did a little better job of working to get the people into town. We still have a ways to go on that, but really bringing you here today. I know it's February, the event's not until May, but he does need to get the advertisements out. He's got to take an entries. He has a lot of work to do between now and then. So I'd like to have you all make a decision to host the event or not. We'll say Commissioner Eddie is here today. So if you have any direct questions for him, he could probably answer better than me. I'll be glad to.
Okay, yeah, well, come on up, if you could, please. And I'd like to say the thing about the Best of the Best and the other events we have at Red Rock Park, they're very important to the city. I grew up in Gallup and got to attend the National High School Rodeo at Red Rock Park when I was 9 years old. I walked around selling popcorn, and ever since then, we used to go to we'd go to Lions Club rodeos and everything, but the park is so important to the city and these events and supporting them is very important. And then people all over, you go all over the place and they all recognize Best of the Best of the stuff that's going on in Gallup. Lions Club rodeos and other ones. So with that, if there's any questions for Walt, which are, or if you want to give us go ahead. give us-
High school rodeo was in 1974. You're telling how old you are.
I was 9 years old. at some point.
One correction to what Frank said, it's in June, not May. No problem.
That gives you extra time.
If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to stand for them.
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to thank you for everything you've done in putting this project on. I know it's a lot of work, but it's good for Gallup and I appreciate that. Thank you.
One statement I would like to add. This is the third year in the RFP. We've been pretty imaginative. Prices have went up on everything immensely, but we're still staying within that budget of 3 years ago.
Good.
Yes.
Good, good.
Just have a question, and I have two questions. One kind of for Walt, and then I don't know if you can answer the second question. So the first question is, I know in the past we haven't always approved this as expediently as before. So I'm really excited that city manager put this on so early. So do you anticipate that with having all this extra time, we'll even be able to get more advertising?
We're
more
not,
people
we're
to-
not early. Last year, we approved it in January.
Well, you know what? You just blew a hole in my whole balloon there, Walt. Geez. Oh, no. So
But I
we're
think
late?
I think we're established enough, and I mean, I've had 100 texts for people already wanting to know the dates, and I just
Okay.
assumed it was gonna happen, and the word's out there.
Oh, okay. Well, dang it. I thought we were on the ball. All right. Well, that's good to know. Because I think getting the word out is really important. And my second question, and this might be for Patty. So is this fiscal or Frank, and is this fiscal impact of 60 to 90,000? That's the estimated city impact? That's a $30,000 difference. So, I mean, that's a pretty big range.
There's a,
Do we just not know or? we don't-
it just depends on number of competitors, the cost of. Again, inflation, we see what's going on, so I just put a range there of a ballpark figure.
Okay.
'Cause I didn't want to say none, I didn't want to say a lot more.
But what should help this year, as we was just talking about the inflation, we have not raised stall prices on stalls or RVs in the past, but this year we need to raise them.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. I mean, every place else has.
Okay.
And when you do well, that'll be beneficial to the city.
Right. The city gets all of the stall and revenue income.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
And Mayor, if I can interject, last year, we gotta go. First of all, I need 2 volunteers to fill Mr. Schaaf's and Louis' shoes to.
I have one right there. She's
do the
already
golf
told me
cart.
I didn't call her last year. I'm in trouble.
So, we hauled people, gave people rides to the arena from the campgrounds and different things. Just hearing them talk about Gallup in comparison to the other large rodeos, I think Oklahoma was the next week, then the national finals the week after, or in that ballpark. They really appreciate what Gallup does for them. Walt puts on a great show. There's no entry for the spectators. They can come in. Walt's giving them out the ride sheets daily. Where you go to the other events, they're charging huge ticket prices. When they have a family of 5 or 6 coming to watch one of their other children, it's costing them $200, $300, $400 just to get their seats. $10, $20 a day to get the event sheets when their child's riding, that type of stuff. We don't do that. It's very spectator friendly. Speaking of spectators, I think if you don't approve it, I'm not gonna face Jeff Montano. He's there every year supporting the children. Shouldn't call them children, the young adults. He's out there supporting the young adults every year, faithfully. So it has a following. And just a wonderful event. And the way they talk about Gallup every year shows that we're doing something good to enhance our future tourism.
And the good thing, thanks to Senator Munoz, we will have a shade over the grandstands this year,
That's great.
which will make daytime events out there way more enjoyable.
That's true.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
Well, so just, I guess, hearing that, why don't we charge anything as for spectators that even just like the $10
The-
entry fee?
When we first started this, I will let Patty correct me if I'm wrong. It is a city event. I cannot go collect the money. That means a legitimate city employee has to collect it, and it was costing us more to have the people out there for 7 perfs than what we brought in for ticket prices, so we quit charging them. Correct?
We can charge, we did charge. First of all, staffing it for daytime, employees were very reluctant to volunteer because they weren't on overtime. They had other duties to take care of. And it became so labor intensive and so overwhelming that it didn't net us any gain. And so we chose for a while, we could get sponsors that would basically pay a fee. And so the sponsorship would kind of cover anything that can be made there, but it just doesn't work out well. It's a lot of work because you have to man all the different gates and have all the windows set up. You have to buy credit card sheets to be able to run the transactions. And then you have to have all the controls in place to manage all the funds that are rolling through those windows.
Okay.
And which we have done every year. We've sold a $5,000 sponsorship to basically cover the admission. And recognize that on the poster that the
the admission was compliments of A, B, or C.
Commissioner, if you don't mind,
Excuse me,
briefly-
one second. Change my title. I am not a commissioner when I'm standing up here.
Okay. If, just briefly, because I'm new, I want to hear a little bit more about like, the vision. I know it's a city event, but since I haven't, and honestly, I haven't attended because.
When the junior high national finals was here, it used to cost the city about 250 to 300,000 a year to put on, but it overran the park. The reason why it cost so much is we had to go out and rent outside stalls, outside spider systems for the RVs and stuff to accommodate it. They finally outgrew us and they moved back to the Midwest where there is bigger facilities. At that time, Mayor McKinney came to me and we said, let's come up with an event that basically utilizes the infrastructure we have at the park. We had got there pre-COVID. There's like 540 stalls out there. We had every stall in every RV place on the park rented. We didn't do it one year for COVID. Then the next year we came back and did it in August, which we found was terrible because boys are already playing football and kids that graduated as seniors have already went to college and stuff. So kind of we had a 2-year gap and we've been growing back every year, another 40, 50 people every time. The good thing is 99.5% of the people we bring are from out of the area, and green chili and Indian jewelry is hot on their minds. Texas women in turquoise, they go crazy.
So that said, how many attendees did we bring in last year?
A little over 350 actual contestants, but that's not counting family members and stuff like that.
Okay. It's just a little bit hard to swallow, like knowing some of the other needs in our community and especially some of the people that are, you know, struggling to meet their basic needs to see like this amount of money going to just entertainment. And I know people are really into rodeo, like I said.
I would like to see the physical impact. The 350 families that come to Gallup for 5 days generates in grocery receipts tax and retail sales at our events.
I would like to add also, this is funded out of the lodger's tax, which is focused on what we can spend it on, the tourism, those type of things. So this isn't money that we can use, but Walt is, or Mr. Eddie is right on point to where this does the grocery receipts tax, the fuel tax, all the other taxes that come in that can go into those coffers to support the programs you're talking about.
I've never seen a physical impact study here, but I did a roping in Queen Creek New Year's, and the Queen Creek facility showed me that our economic impact for 3 days was 700,000. COG used to do one for us. Maybe Brandon will do one for us next year.
Given this is the 3rd year of RFP, I wonder if there's any way we can do kind of a survey of the people that come and attend and understand like what they're getting, like, yeah, whether it changes their attitude about Gallup or whether they stayed here in town and shopped here and like an evaluation of sorts, just to kind of get the feedback.
Through Matt should be able to give you, I'm trying to think of how I want to say this, by tracking telephones, the number of people that was there and where they come from. But as far as a survey, I mean, we can get you whatever you guys come with.
Voluntary, yeah, like a Google form survey to go out to them afterwards. I don't think.
No, we don't have to. They have to actually come in and check in for the rodeo, and the survey they can fill out before we let them check in for the rodeo. We can make that happen. It's just not anything anybody's ever asked for.
Yeah, I got you. I think it'd be cool to see
You
that.
come up
data.
with the survey, I'll get it filled out for you.
Thank you.
Okay?
You volunteer.
May I want to make a comment? So, Mr. Walden, of course, you know that I am your #1 fan on the best of the best. And I think it's very beneficial to the city and the surrounding areas that we keep the best of the best rodeo. I've been a volunteer for so many years, on the golf cart, taking the contestants and the family from the stalls to the arena. You sit there and you get to meet the people and they will tell you that they love the best of the best. And then I consider myself an ambassador to the city of Gallup, and I let them know about our our Christmas time that we have, which is a Red Green Chili and the restaurants and the jewelry stores, so those 300 and some that come in, and the grandparents come in, and the uncles and aunties come in, so we're doubling, tripling people coming in to the city of Gallup. So they totally enjoy coming to Gallup every single year with the best of the best, and you put on a great professional rodeo. And
Thank
I
you, sir.
For that, and I support you 100%.
Thank you. Since day one, I've always tried to get the city councilors to come out there. What we do, Mrs. Yazzie, is we send golf carts out there and all of the people, it's a long walk from the RVs up to the arena and that sand and stuff. And like Linda said, there's grandparents and stuff. So we shuttle them up when the rodeo starts and we shuttle them back when it's done. And I was very fortunate. I had a very good council the first year, and I've always got the counselors to go so they could interact with the people. That they can hear firsthand what the people think of Gallup and stuff instead of me coming in, giving you typical promoter BS that mine's the best in the world and all that stuff. You get to hear straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. I would appreciate it very much if you'd come out and drive a golf cart for us one day.
Here's a question
Get you
here.
to.
So I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I think I've been out a couple times to drive the golf cart, and then I've been out of town sometimes, which also I'm a terrible driver of golf carts, so that liability is now on you. Just kidding. Well,
Is it on the city insurance or the county?
we gotta figure that out. No, just kidding. But I do agree also with Counselor Yazzie. I think having the data is so important. I just can't remember if we did that. I don't question at all that this is a great event or we have great people that love it. But I think, and this isn't really even towards you, I just think as a city, we should get data in terms of like from the tourism department to see over that weekend when all those 350 contestants came, what was the economic impact? You know, did we see an increase of 10% in our restaurant sales? Did we see a increase in our jewelry stores? And I don't know, I'm not as good as the data tracking on the phone and website, but if that's something that Matt can help us track, I think it would just be helpful to show that investment, right? Because we're kind of making guesses. We're saying, yes, people are going and they're spending their money, but we don't, unless we see that actual data, we don't actually know that. So I want to make sure we're living in data factual land and not just guessing. I mean, yes, people love it and we assume people go to shop, right? But we just, I think having that
All you
data.
have to do is look at all the dually pickups and blonde people walking around downtown with back numbers on, and you can tell they come to town.
Well, coming to town and spending money is different, right? So they could come to town, but we don't actually know if there was an I mean, like I could come to town and spend no money.
Go up and see Perry Knoll and ask him how busy he is getting the
It's a
street.
great plan. We should do that. We should talk to some of these jewelers and see if it's, restaurants to see how it impacted their business.
But I will be glad if you guys put together me a survey, I will be glad to get it filled out and back to you.
I think that's great. I love that. And then I was just gonna add that, lost my train of thought. Oh, and if this isn't pertinent to right now, that's fine, but something that was said earlier, you know, most of the contestants, just for Counselor Yazzie's information, they don't stay in hotels. They stay predominantly out at Red Rock Park. But we had talked about at one point, maybe we already did this, is doing like the tax for lodger tax, how we do for staying at hotels.
We need to be doing that.
At Red Rock.
Whether we have this event or not, we need to be charging
Yes, we need to.
sales tax out at Red Rock Park.
Have we implemented that yet, or is that?
Something I kind of have to interject in there. There's about 130 campsites at RV out at Red Rock State Park. I went through high school, so my math's probably not the best in the world, but when you have 350 contestants, I understand their sub-siblings. 350 families aren't staying at Red Rock State Park in horse trailers when there's 130 RV spots.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have enough spaces to
Yeah.
really even hold all of them.
And
Okay.
Do we know that we're not we're getting off the subject here. I understand that, but it's important. Do we
I
know
can't
that
hear
we're
you, I'm
not
sorry.
charging lodgers tax
On the-
at Red Rock State Park?
but we're
So
not.
do we know that we're
Separate.
not charging it?
Follow up with Ken.
Okay, now are we charging lodgers tax at USA RV Park?
Yes,
Okay, so we should be charging.
Yeah.
correct.
It's not fair to USA RV Park that we're
Correct.
not charging that tax to our own park.
Yes, we've been following up on those and the bed and breakfast.
Yeah, sorry to change the subject a little bit, but that's important.
I'm gonna make I'm gonna make two more statements and I'm gonna shut up. Through the work at the county, we got 3 million to do new bathrooms. We've got another 2.5 million to redo the east bathrooms. We've got a grant for, I don't know, 4 million to redo the concession stand. And we got 7 million to redo the roof. We put $20 million into the infrastructure out there for the sole purpose of utilizing that park, not for it to sit there and have 3 events a year. I mean, that doesn't pencil out at all.
Very good.
And then off topic, because I'm not going to get a chance to do it. I have to leave Thursday for 3 weeks going to Fort Worth. I'd like to thank Dave. I heard the Navajo Gallup Water project, the cap on it. I was fortunate enough to get to go to Washington and sit in all those meetings. And the county attorney and Dave represented our positions very eloquently and very professionally. I thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Dave.
Awesome.
Any more questions?
You did good.
We can have a motion.
I can make a motion to approve the best of the best.
Council Molina,
Yes.
Council Garcia.
Yes.
Council Piano,
Yes.
Council Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor DePaul.
Yes. Great. Well, thanks, Frank. And well, Daddy. The last, item number 7, no, it's the last item, but anyway, this is the request for review and action on lease with Enchanted Technology Solutions and Huntington Technology Finance for the Gallup Police Department laptop computers. And with that, our police chief is here. I can't see over there.
You should find that.
Aaron Totally.
Mayor, council, I appreciate you having me tonight. Come on up, and I know I've been working closely with David, and he has the gist of all the leasing agreements and the attorneys going back and forth and talking, so I won't take all of his time, but I just want to emphasize the need for the Gallup Police Department to have laptops. Every year we have a replacement plan, as you know, when we go into budget hearing. What is the longevity of these equipment lasting? Years and years of going into the budgeting. I've been doing it for about 3 years. It's gonna be the 3rd time is we've been just extending a warranty. Warranties come to an end and those computers are obsolete, and that's where we're at today. So I just want to express the need for those and you know, the importance of our laptops. These are the ones that sit in our units for our officers to run people, to be compliant with our CJIS. With the FBI reporting, when we run licenses, driver's license, if we don't have those, we're really, our hands are tied and having to call it into Metro. But I'll go ahead and turn the time over to David.
Thank you, Chief. Well, overview, there's basically 2 ways to do this. Way 1 is to acquire your own equipment, and your own software licenses. But that is a programmatic option that really isn't available at this point. If you wanted to do it that way, you'd probably be re-rolling over 6 to 8 computers a year. So you would not be getting into the sort of time frame that we've got here with computers that are closing in on 8 years to 10 years old. So the only viable option at this point, in my view, somewhat unfortunately, is what amounts to a commercial lease of the laptop units and their accompanying software. This has been budgeted, but the council is yet to review and approve the lease documents themselves. Very briefly, to summarize, the lease is the core document. It contemplates the delivery of 71 laptop computers, which gives you some idea of the volume and the usage of those computers. It specifies a 4-year term. The total rent or gross rent under that term is about $671,000, about $167,000 a year. There is an initial separate installation cost of about $40,000. And that, as my understanding, has been budgeted at least in part, possibly in whole. I don't think there's any budget adjustment required, but CFO Holland can speak to that if necessary. The lease, of course, is subject to Abatement Act because it is a charge against the city general fund and therefore is subject to new appropriations every year of its term. the council will have to reappropriate or newly appropriate money each year for the payment of rentals due under the lease during the 4-year term. That's something to keep in mind, not lose track of, because if you don't appropriate the money appropriately, then the lease will have to be terminated. At the end of the term, the city will have the option of purchasing the equipment. This is to be at a value determined by the lessor or by appraisal at the city's expense. Another option is to continue the lease itself, or the third option is to return the equipment. This is a standard commercial lease, and in that world, the lessor quite often is unwilling to budge off of terms that it considers advantageous to itself and to what it's trying to put together. At the end of the day, what the lessor is doing is creating a group of documents and contractual commitments that more or less guarantee an income stream and therefore can be easily marketed on the secondary market to investors. It can easily be aggregated with other leases of a similar type and turned into a securitized product, etc. So what you have is a bunch of features to the arrangement that are very lessor friendly and not terribly lessee friendly. And I've listed some of those elements here for your consideration. For example, the covenants binding upon the lessor are declared to be independent from the covenants under the lease binding on the lessee, meaning the lessor can breach the lease, but the lessee has no right of set off or recoupment to abate or otherwise reduce payments of rentals that might be required. In addition, the lessor upon lessee's breach is entitled to fairly interesting liquidated damages recovery that's based on a highly esoteric calculation of expected return, discounted present value, etc. Interestingly, the lessor disclaims any warranty of title, meaning they do not warrant that they even own this equipment. The remedy provided to us, the city as lessee there, is a covenant of quiet enjoyment, meaning that if somebody comes in and says, this is really my equipment, give it back, then the lessor is responsible for damages. That, in my opinion, is pretty cold comfort. We want to know that we're dealing with someone who has title, but they have refused to budge on that point. They also, in the lease, insist upon constraining their duty to mitigate damages in the event of our breach. So if it were up to me, this would not be an arrangement we would be entertaining. But at the end of the day, I don't think we have much choice. This is the best deal we're going to get. We have to take this deal. The computers that the department has are on their last legs. They can fail at any time. They can't even be upgraded to Windows 11. In addition, because they can't be upgraded, we will be non-compliant with various security and communications protocols, meaning that these laptops that we currently have might not even be able to interface with Metro Dispatch. So we really have no choice but to acquire these new laptops and to hold our nose in doing so at some of these very unfavorable lease terms. Final comment, and this is, affects only the legal department standing alone. It is typical in a commercial lease of this sort, and this is no exception, to require an opinion from the lessee's attorney, confirming, verifying, standing behind, and otherwise underwriting various commitments by the lessee and various statuses and other terms of the lease. That exposes both myself and Erica to fairly extraordinary risk. At the end of the day, if the opinion turns out to be incorrect, if we have been mistaken in our judgment, we can be sued personally by either the lessor or an assignee of the lease. The amount of that claim could range from the hundreds of thousands of dollars to who knows what. Now that's risk that we're willing to accept. Okay, we are the city's lawyers and we will do this to further the interests of the city. However, we do have one request, And that is that in any motion that approves this lease and the related documents, the council expressly undertake to indemnify and hold harmless myself and Erica and the legal department from and against any claim that might be asserted with respect to a breach of the lease and or a failure of the attorney's opinion that we're being required to provide to the lessor. This is standard in those cases. We are acting as the city's agent, and we believe that's an appropriate protection to which we're entitled if we're going to sign off on and provide an opinion of counsel that would, if things go wrong, expose us to personal liability. So with that, I have no further comments, but if there are questions, we'll be happy to entertain.
So Aaron and Dave, appreciate, these are great computers. These are the Panasonic Toughbooks, very expensive. Probably costs $7,000 to replace. So Dave, what I was wondering is, in order to have, and there is an insurance requirement in here, but I'm not too sure if that covers the whole cost of the actual insurance itself. It says here that the request for a certificate, it says property damage in the amount of $673,000. That's not gonna buy 47, computers.
That is the lessor's basis for tax recovery purposes, and that is the number that they have requested on the property side.
So that's just covering them.
Yes.
Yeah, it covers their.
You know what I'm getting at, right? Can we get a separate policy to cover not only your indemnification or your risk, but also to cover loss or theft or anything on these computers that they're not covering?
We can insure our interest in the equipment. We can potentially insure interruption of operations due to a loss of the equipment. Obviously, the city should be able to insure our personal liability in undertaking this required opinion. It points to an interesting feature here. The lessor insists that we insure its property, but it disclaims any warranty of title to the property.
Yeah, that's.
You can probably tell that I'm a bit irritated with this.
Yeah.
But it is common in commercial leasing arrangements. We're not going to find any more favorable term. We negotiated at length with both the lessor and the lessor's attorney. We got some concessions, but there were things that they simply were not willing to budge on. And to be honest, our negotiating position was not very strong, given our need for the computers.
Well, is a separate policy then something we might look into? I'm looking at Francis too, just to make sure we are covered for these items that, because what could happen here, these get stolen, lost, broken, and we're gonna have to pay full price to get them replaced, what I understand. Is that right?
We are going to have to reimburse for the lost value of the equipment on a depreciated basis. As the lease goes on, the lessor's basis depreciates and reduces. So it would depend on the time of the loss and theft, but there will be some amount owed, yes.
Would our insurance cover that right now if we did have a loss, let's say?
I can then Marcus check for Charles.
Okay, that'd be if we could do that, at least we know we'll have some type of peace of mind for insurance coverage, because right now, the way it's written, we're in double jeopardy. If it gets lost or broken, we're paying for the computer and we're out of computer, so we have to, we're paying for the one we lost. And then we're also paying for a new one, replace it.
The lessor would be happy to supply a replacement computer for an additional rent.
Full price, exactly. And they're not $671, they're $6,000. Anyway, thank you. I just want to make sure, see if an additional policy or something, but shore up this agreement, but we didn't have to have any risk.
Exactly.
Well, any other questions?
I have a question, Mayor. I am so sorry if I'm not understanding this completely. I understand the basis, but so it says that the fiscal year 2026 payment has been budgeted now 207,000, but then it says that the 71 laptop computers and associated software over a 4-year term is a total rent of 671,000. So maybe I just had a long day, but so why are we not budgeting for this whole amount? This is just budgeted each year. So like 207 and then next year 207, then the next year 207. Is that what we're doing? I'm confused.
The difference between the 167 and the 207 is the initial installation expense.
Okay,
Okay, that's a one-time
okay,
$40,000 expense. The
okay,
reason you can't budget for the 4 years is that you are then encumbering your general fund
gotcha.
for more than a year, and you can't do that under the
Okay.
Abatement Act.
Okay, so that 671, then are we agreeing to do this for the 4-year term, or does it come back to us each year for that payment in the budget? It comes back to us in the budget
You will-
process.
will have
Okay.
to make a new appropriation each year or not. You have the option. It is not a breach of the lease. It will terminate the lease if you fail to appropriate
Right.
rent for the upcoming year.
Okay. Okay, and then second question, and I know you did mention this, but I just can't remember. So it just feels like overall summarizing is what you're saying is this lease is terrible. We don't want to do it. It has a lot of negativity, but we don't have another choice. That's like literally what I heard you say. So am I not understanding that right? Is there another choice if we don't continue this lease? Because you listed out I feel like you listed out all the reasons why this lease is terrible and the liability to the attorneys. And then at the end, I thought there was gonna be like, and here's a different option, but then you were like, but actually that's the only option. So is that our only option?
One thing that you don't get when you graduate from law school is the rabbit in it. No, there is no other option if
Okay.
you wish to lease. This is going to be what you're going to have to confront and deal with.
Okay,
The only other option is to buy units outright, and we do not have $671,000 or anything close to it budgeted for that expense.
okay,
The one virtue of this lease, and I think our CFO would attest to and speak to this, is that it smooths out, it regularizes the yearly expense in a more predictable way. You're not engaged in investing, money on a capital basis in a very large amount in 1 year. That is a planning and budgeting benefit to doing the lease.
I feel like we should have, and this is either here or there, because we didn't, but maybe ask for this in our capital for state reps or senators and some other growth funding or capital.
On that line, Brandon had mentioned, while we were in DC, if you read your summary of the meetings, when we met with Heinrich and Ben Ray and Ledger Fernandez's office, they did very highly support law enforcement efforts within a select scope. No crowd control equipment, stuff like that. But one of the big things this could qualify for the community support grants
Yes.
is asking for these type of stuff for them to fund it for us into the future to offset those future
Yeah,
costs.
yeah.
So we are looking at those and I brought back a list to the chief and we kind of put out there, another big one was the rapid detection for drugs, a test for so when we're doing a stop or a raid or searching a vehicle or something or home, that, if we come across something for the safety of our officers, knowing what they're getting into. So we're already looking at several things, and Brandon, thank you. That is a great idea.
Yeah, I echo that. I love that idea of asking for the congressionally direct spending from our congressmen and women. I think that's a good way of doing it. And actually the portals for Senator Lujan, they're just now opening, but I think they're due mid-March. So we might want to just be on top of that. Awesome. Thank you. It's great.
Okay, so if we have a motion, but per Dave's request.
Yeah, what do we want to do with that?
To hold harmless the attorneys.
How do we?
Agent of the city. Oh, it's even some.
I sign a hold harmless. Yeah, look, I regret having to bring this up, okay? This is not something I want to do, but the fact of the matter is that under this opinion letter that we're issuing, we could be sued 8 years from now.
Oh my gosh.
And we could be sued for significant amounts of money. We're entitled to some peace of mind if we're gonna offer this opinion to close this transaction. So all we're asking is that if you approve the arrangements set forth in the documents, that you do so also committing to indemnify the legal department and its personnel from any potential cost or liability or loss resulting from a claim made on the opinion letter that we are issuing.
Okay. I just have one last question, Mayor. Dave, if we were to do this, which sounds like we have to, and then we apply for like the community, congressionally direct spending, like say next year and say halfway through this contract, we get the money to actually cover the full cost. What would be the liability or what would be the cost of us to, stop the contract halfway through? Because now we have the full money, full capital for it. Like, do we have to pay us because we're breaking the lease?
No, the way to do it would be to not appropriate for the fiscal year in question. That terminates the lease. The lease is subject to your powers of appropriation. And to its credit, and it doesn't really have any choice in the matter, the lessor has acknowledged in the lease that the council has the inherent and sovereign authority not to appropriate money. And that further, this council cannot tie the hands of subsequent councils, nor can it encumber its general fund for more than a year. Therefore, the lease relies upon a yearly appropriation. So what you would do if you got grant money or money from another source would be to simply not appropriate money for the upcoming fiscal year. That would terminate the lease. There would then be presumably some form of negotiation over what you do or don't do with the equipment. Under a termination, you have to return the equipment, ordinary wear and tear accepted, but the lessor would likely be willing to entertain a purchase offer at that point, because at the end of the day, you'd be dealing with old used equipment or non-new used equipment.
Non-use.
I'll continue. If everybody wants to make an attempt. Motion?
There's no more questions. Okay, I will motion to approve the request for review and action on lease with Enchanted Technology Solutions and Huntington Technology Finance for GPD laptop computers with indemnifying the legal department based on their decisions in the matter. Did I say that correctly? Did I say indemn?
And the opinion that they've issued.
And the opinion they have issued.
Second.
Get that out?
Yes, sir. Counselor Piano,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yeah.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Mayor DePaul.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you, David.
Thank you. And that's a pretty good deal. You just have your.
Okay, so thank you. That concludes all of our discussion items, and now we move to the comments by the mayor and city councilors, and I will let the city councilors go first. Sierra, you're. Oh, yeah, wait, unless you want commissioner.
So first. I just had a couple things to say, but I wanted to thank everybody who did reach out and cared enough to engage with the council on this issue of the National Guard. Even though it's not at this time like a pending action, but I was encouraged to know that people will engage and will approach us with everything and something. And I think that's important for civic engagement. So thanks to everybody who came out tonight to participate in the meeting, to give public comment. I did want to say regarding that, just a couple personal comments, but I don't actually believe that bringing the National Guard would solve any of the underlying issues. I do believe that we should focus on ensuring criminals face prosecution and also on creating safe spaces for people to get the support that they need to get on their feet in our community. I did receive some data, thanks to Rose Eason for providing me with some data on our local public health. And that the data do show that also one other point of data was the report issued by our local police department from Chief Paulo and from Sergeant Martinez Collins that while narcotic substance offenses are on the rise, so are arrests by RPD, and they are definitely doing their job and doing a great job, and that's not part of the issue. It seems to me that even administrative support would only cause kind of a faster cycle for our officers on the street in terms of being out there making arrests, and that could lead to more burnout. Secondly, other data that's shown is that the most widespread crises in our community are still alcohol abuse and suicide. And there's nothing that the National Guard will be able to do to help resolve depression and trauma. And being a trauma therapist myself, that's something that I think we can certainly come up with some better solutions for. In fact, I would suggest that any kind of militarized approach to behavioral health crises will only exacerbate those issues. And I understand that we're not talking about soldiers on the street, but I just wanted to say that I think any of those approaches to those issues should be from the other side. Our local council of governments is actually part of a process on reforming behavioral health system in this region. And that was last year's SB3, the Behavioral Health Reform and Investment Act. The next public listening session for that funding and those issues is being held this Thursday evening from 5:30 to 7:30 on Zoom. And I will be participating on that listening session, and I invite anyone who has feedback about what could improve our community outcomes to join me in that call. So I look forward to that. Thank you everybody for coming out. Have a good evening.
Sarah?
Oh, do you want to go over the next?
Sure. First I want to ask Keegan, when is our next meet and greet and where and what time?
So, kind of need confirmation today, but I think I have it. It's March 27th. And this is gonna be a 12, there was a little bit of a question if we actually still have this, the site, more, but we do. So it's 12 o'clock, 12 to 1, we're gonna try a lunchtime one on March 27th. And it's gonna be the water department, wastewater department, facilities.
Great. I asked that because I mentioned because was it last Wednesday, we had a meet and greet with the different departments and they did an extraordinary job of coming out, the different departments with directors and the employees. And although it was a slow turnout because of the weather, it was very informational and, getting the feedback from when they're there. They really enjoy it and it really helps me because I have neighborhood association meetings and they're coming to these and so some of the questions they have at my meetings are directed here and they get it directly from the directors and from the departments. So it's really helpful and I would like for you to continue to do this and I really appreciate the directors and supervisors and the workers coming out and doing these presentations. So I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you for the support. And that was the electric department, Chuck Norris and his team. That was Robert Campbell, was Public Works Department in his team. And then Cindy Strain and his team for planning and zoning. And they had, you're right, awesome presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to mention again that last Friday was Senior Citizen Day at the Capitol. And our new director for the senior center was there along with the seniors on the ride to Santa Fe, we had a great time. Boss Steve, we thank you for participation with the seniors. And we had made appointments and our senators were gracious to meet us and come out from the committee meetings. Senator Shannon Pinto came and met with us and she had snacks, Native American treats for us. And I met and talked to some of the seniors and they just loved it. Also the representative of Sarah Patty Lustrom, we all squeezed into her little office and met with her and Representative Wanda Johnson, who recognized us on the floor at the City of Gallup. We were not able to go because by this time our seniors were very tired. It was time to go home. But she recognized us and she gave us each senior by name and handed us a certificate. And so it was a beautiful certificate and I want to appreciate each and every one of our senators and representatives for allowing the seniors to come because they enjoy it every single year. I believe that's it. And I just want to say again, happy birthday to Mr. Robert Henry. God bless you.
Nice. Okay. I kind of echo some of the comments that Councilor Garcia mentioned. I did want to thank again our representatives and senators who really support us. It's really important that the council has a good working relationship with our senators and representatives. Appreciate representative coming and giving us an update, and then also Senator Pinto being here. I think that's really important for us to see them and have updates. So again, just want to recognize all of our senators and representatives. Echo what Councilor Garcia said about the last meet and greet. I wasn't able to attend the first one. I had a work function, but I heard that one was a great turnout. But I attended the second one and then it was snowy. So I applaud the people that came out, but I thought the departments did a great job and I learned things as well. And they had some great pictures and you could tell they did extra work to make those presentations nice, which I know a lot of the departments don't have a lot of extra time. So I appreciate them doing that extra work. So excited to try to attend the next one. I always try to mention something that's going on. I feel like, so I thought I'd mention that the public library, our public library is having a puzzle race and exchange with friends of the library on March 5th from 6 to 8:30. So if you're puzzle people, you can have a team puzzle race and compete in teams of 4 to assemble a 500-piece puzzle. I'm not gonna lie, I will not be there. I tried to help my nieces and nephews assemble like a 20-piece puzzle and it was like not good. So I probably gonna skip out on this one. Puzzles are not my friend, but I know a lot of people out there that love puzzles and are really good. So you guys should go. This is a really fun activity. It's only $20 per team and there's a flyer on the library site. So lots of good activities happening in the library. Make sure to check out that puzzle race and you know, get out and do something fun with your friends. And then I really, and this might be the time, I'd love to hear an update, and this is more for Frank, on the warming shelter. I was hoping we were gonna have something this meeting, but I don't think we did, so maybe in the future, just to hear what's going on with that and where we're at with the shelter, because I know I've heard really good things about it and would love to just have more, some more information on that. So, I think that's really what I mostly have.
Thank you, sir.
You sure?
Next time you go first.
Sarah hit it right on the head. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up. Our community coming forth. There's some people up front on my way in talking about this National Guard thing. This National Guard has gotten blown out of proportion. But it's good to see that the community's backing their ideas, and I appreciate that. I've always said in all my meetings, our citizens run this town and we manage it. So yes, thank you for the community for bringing out those comments. There were some good comments. One of the things I asked for, if you don't want to do this, come up with a solution. Dr. Lou came out with a couple of good ideas and I appreciate that. Moving on, thank you to our state representatives and our state senators, specifically for House Bill 99. Man, that meant a lot to me. The repercussions that have happened, it's gonna take us, I'm sure, a few years to get through this and fix our doctor situation here in Gallup. There's lots of other towns that have had very similar problems, but in Gallup, it's really affected. It's affected us greatly. Like I said, I see it's going to take I'm guessing a couple of years to gain back some of what we lost. And my hat's off to our state representatives and our Senate for approving that bill, getting by the grasp of the trial lawyers. I appreciate that. That's all I got.
Well, thanks, Ron. And just a few comments. I got to attend the grand opening of Gallup Community Health's clinic at UNM Gallup. It was really interesting. It was really nice setup. You know, I was joking with Val Wengler and the girl and the other doctors that this is like going to the nurse at high school, you know, just high tech. But anyway, it was really nice to go through that to look and see what they're doing for the kids at UNM. They said they have over 4,000 people up there that can go through the clinic. The other thing is, Frank and I went to Washington for 4 days with the county. A lot of things. We discovered a lot of things between the airports, funding for drainage projects, road projects, housing projects, and the medical stuff. We met with Heidi Overton. And if all you guys remember Heidi Overton, she was a really good soccer player for Gallup High in 2006. Steve's, what else did she do? She kicked field goals. You know, people forget that. She kicked field goals for the Gallup High Bengals. But anyway, we got to meet with her. We got to tour the White House. But her big thing is Health and Human Services. She works directly under Robert Kennedy. And it turned out that, you know, she's well aware of the problems and the things that are going on in Gallup. And I think we'll be able to turn to her for a lot of that, just for solutions to our problems. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Frank and then to Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we did bring back a bunch of information and you should have it in your email on summaries of each of those visits. I'd like to speak a little bit on the National Guard and the way it came to be and to really let the citizens know that we're not contemplating action. This came about in a meeting with the governor, with all the entities from Gallup that were participating in Gallup Day. It was brought up that we have concerns with our DA. I don't think anybody will stand up here and argue that we have concerns with our DA's office and prosecution. And also with our state police and the system that they've built, especially with their call center being in Albuquerque, to where if you're getting an accident on I-40 and you call 911, it goes to our local 911 office. Between mile marker 16 and 26, they dispatch Gallup PD. State line to 16, 26 to Pruitt, they dispatch McKinley County Sheriff's Department. That takes our officers off the street. It takes the county folks out of their area. And it's taken 3 to 5 units, depending on how big of an accident, to where we're not patrolling problem areas of need. We're not patrolling our neighborhoods. So we were there and it was brought up, Governor, we'd like some more support from the state police. So when it was brought back, the mayor and others are asking the governor, that was a misrepresentation. That was a huge misrepresentation. And I'm kind of disappointed our staff did that. It was brought up, what can we do to support our law enforcement to do their jobs without them having to be taken off to do these other calls and other things? This was in support of our officers, in support of our citizens. That's the way it was framed. Governor, we did meet with the chief and staff the next day. The mayor and I met with the chief of staff and said, well, we'd like to talk more. State of emergency it would be a worry for our tourism industry. I'm gonna go to a place, but I will say, as I went to DC, I felt very safe walking the streets of DC, and that is one of the 2 states that right now are federally mandated to have the National Guard there. They're laughing, they're joking with the public, very, very, very part of the community right now. But at the same time, we put the word out, there's a state of emergency in Gallup. I know when the governor did that for Espanola, state of emergency in Espanola, and I'm like, well, that is Espanola. It gave us that view, and we don't want that for our tourism. But at the same time, if the National Guard, they're not going to come in like ICE, they're not going to do raids, they're not going to patrol the streets. We're actually looking at exploring, talking to them about doing a training with their construction and engineering course. We're ready to redo our playground of dreams. It'd be great to have some added people with expertise helping us out there rebuild our playground of dreams. That helps with the mental health. That helps with the family orientation, the community. It also brings them there to give them a different image. They're there to support. They can also come in with their construction, and I would love to see them hit all of our ditches. Bring the chainsaws and start clear cutting our ditches. It'll help with our erosion, it'll help with our flood control, and won't give people a place to hide and set up their encampments. And that would be a wonderful thing. They would be doing something that we can't in a lot of these cases because they're private land. They can't. So when we're exploring these type of things, we're going to explore them here in open meetings, to where it's not, we're going behind the citizens' back per se.
We're gonna do stuff in open meetings. We're looking at active solutions to support our law enforcement officers. They're working hard. But at the same time, we are burning them out. At the same time, we have a lot of officers who are hitting that threshold of, I'm close to retirement. And how do we recruit the new ones? It's easier to recruit them into a town that is on a better standing than one that I'm gonna come in and have to risk my life. But at the same time, the governor did also ask us, write a letter to the Chief Justice, write a letter to the State Attorney General. Get more help for our judges. I'm very disappointed with that also. We had a police officer stabbed. And the judge lets him out of jail, even though it's a probation violation, the judge lets him go on a signature. An officer gets stabbed and they can go free. That's not helping our safety. That's gonna be that revolving cycle of pick them up, let them go, pick them up, let them go. And then God help us if we have a DA to actually prosecute them if we ever go to court. So we have a lot of stuff to fix, and I agree with Ron. Help us with the solutions. That's what we're doing it in these meetings. We are gonna do them in public. This one just came up on a tangent. Help us with the state police. Help. Give us more funding. Yeah, we'd love to see more funding. Officer retention bonuses, sign-on bonuses, see what we can do. We'd love to have more of that. That's what we're asking for. And then this came out of the blue. Is it something to still consider and see what's there? Potentially. But again, nothing will be done without going through an open meeting because we do believe in the Open Meetings Act. So I just wanted to put that out there. And get everything going.
Thank you. City Manager Committee. Okay, Dave.
Yeah, just a very brief comment. Next week, and this is germane to topics that are being discussed, the removal trial respecting DA Martin will occur before the Supreme Court of the state. This is the first time an elected official has been tried in the Supreme Court to be removed from office in the 114-year history of this state. It will be an event of historic significance and one which I think anyone who has the time or inclination would want to watch. It will be live streamed by the court. You can expect to hear some jaw-dropping testimony. One of the witnesses is a mother who will testify that DA Martin called her daughter's molestation case, quote, "a waste of my office's resources," close quote. With any luck, and probably with the diligence of the court, we will have a new DA very soon. And I am confident that when that happens, and when that office is well-staffed and well-financed, we will see a significant improvement in the overall tenor of law enforcement in this town and in this county.
Thank you. Keep us informed. With that, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Counselor Molina,
Yes.
Counselor Piano.
Yes.
Counselor Garcia.
Yes.
Counselor Guzzi.
On my mic.
Mayor DePauli. Yes.
We're supposed to be moving into closed session. Closed session. Should we just make it so everyone remembers?
Mark, are we having a meeting?
Yeah, so it's.
Are we having a special meeting?
Yes.
No motion required, it's just adjourning this meeting and we'll go to the next one. Yeah, sure. Excuse me. Yeah. I think I do.